What's up, everyone? It's Russo. I hope everyone is doing well. Please follow my Instagram at Russo Lifts, just in case something happens to this YouTube channel. You can follow, message, and you can watch my daily story content on Instagram. I'll see you there. What's up, everyone? It's Russo. I hope everyone is doing well. Welcome back to the channel. I appreciate everyone supporting me during my comeback. I'm just grinding as much as I can, and you know, when you get back into creating, right, it's about throwing shit against the wall. You know, eventually my content is going to get better, so I appreciate everyone for sticking around through this. But today I'm going to be talking about and giving my 2 cents, because I'm Ryan 2 Cents Russo on are steroids addicting? Are steroids addicting? And specifically going into my experiences, as well as a steroid that is 100% addicting in my opinion. So first off, are steroids addicting? In my opinion, yeah, I think they are addicting, but when you look into the science, there's real, like when steroids were banned, right? When that ban was passed and Joe Biden pushed that steroid ban through, you know, using the MLB, like, oh, steroids are ruining the MLB. Like, honestly, I wish Babe Ruth was still on D-ball and I would actually go and watch a game to watch him crank home runs on D-ball. But that's just me. Anyways, you know, they're pushing it, and like normally to schedule a substance, you need to provide adequate evidence that it's addicting. You have to like go through a bunch of checks and procedures to like, you know, schedule a drug. Basically, everything was skipped over when it came to steroids, and they never finitely proved that they are addicting. So there's no actual data science that I know of. Again, you guys can correct me in the comment section below. This is always a discussion, and I love seeing people participate in the comment section. But there's not really like something like heroin. Like, that's obviously addicting. That's obviously studied heavily with addiction. Cigarettes and nicotine, that's obviously addicting. Steroids, there's none of that research there to prove that it's addicting. However, you know, steroids, what they do is they hyper upregulate. I don't know if that's the correct terminology, but they basically, you know, they amplify your central nervous system. So your central nervous system, when you're on cycle, when you're blasted, like your central nervous system is firing at a rate that it would never fire at if, you know, you were natural, never added in exogenous super physiological amounts of androgens. You would never have that insane central nervous system feeling. And when you come off steroids, right, your central nervous system goes back to normal, and that's normally, you know, why people feel down. They don't want to lift anymore when they come off, is that, you know, their central nervous system is desensitized because it was like hyper-stimulated by the androgens. And if you do it for prolonged periods of time, like, you know, one of my friends, like, he was just messing around in college, and he ran rad, which, if you know what RAD140 does, like, it really stimulates the central nervous system. It causes a ton of insomnia because your central nervous system is so stimulated. You know, when he came off that, like, it took him forever for him to feel normal again, because his central nervous system, like, his central nervous system wasn't like piped up and firing all the time. So when he went in the gym, he felt something was off, and that would give you the urge to get back on the androgens. So I can make that argument on that side, on that it's addicting. However, you know, testosterone, for me personally, I don't find it addicting. When I get off of testosterone and I switch on to like something like clomiphene and HCG, I'm not fiending to get back on testosterone. As long as my androgen levels, my blood work is normal, and, you know, my sex drive is optimum and optimized, I don't feel this urge to like go back to blasting test. I normally feel better when I get off a blast. Like, I don't want to continue the blast. I normally want to do my blast, get my results, mitigate all the health consequences of the blast, and then get off. Like, go back to cruising. That's not a sign that it's addicting, that I need more. Now, this gets me to the point of one that is addicting, and one that everyone knows about, and that is trenbolone. So trenbolone is special because it passes through the blood-brain barrier, and I have Dante throw up that study right now. So yeah, it interacts and binds with the brain, changes your personality completely, and gives you a euphoric high while you're on that. So that's why people get addicted to Tren, right? It gives them a superiority complex, a narcissistic complex, and gives them, it impacts everyone differently, but it will change their personality, give them a mental high. It's essentially like a drug, right? It's like literally getting high on a drug because it's interacting in your brain. It's changing your brain chemistry the entire time you're utilizing it. That's why the roid rage is associated with Tren. I have another video, which I'll have Dante link a card above, where I discuss, how I feel mentally on Tren, right? Someone like me who's bipolar, I think I control it easier because when you're bipolar, and I've been bipolar my whole life, you have to get really confident at controlling your emotions during one of those high and low periods. Whereas trenbolone, when I go on Tren, it feels like my bipolar alter ego wants to come out of the cage much easier, and someone who's never had to deal with something like that, that alter ego could just take over their personality. And I see it all the time. I see it in the gym. I had a guy who was prepping for classic physique in the teen division, decided he was going to blast Tren the entire time up until the contest, and his personality went night and day, right? His personality went night and day with me. He was like, super like, oh, Russo, I love your videos. I'm doing this show, blah, blah, blah. And, all happy. We're talking. Everything's chill. And then as, he increases the Tren, he's mean mugging me in the gym. All of a sudden, he's not good. Like, I'm not good enough to get talked to. And, he's just like giving me death glares. And like I said, the personality changed completely. I personally told him that his personality was going to change. He's like, no, I feel fine. I feel fine. And even during, when he was blasting it, I'm like, so how you feeling? He's like, I feel fine. I don't think it's impacting me at all. Like, you're not going to catch it. Like, unless you're like me and bipolar and know, like, when your mood changes like crazy, you're probably not going to catch it. So what I would tell you is that Tren you could get, like, legitimately addicted to because you're fiending for that euphoric high because Tren passes through the blood-brain barrier, whereas something like testosterone doesn't interact in the brain, right? So it's much easier. That's why I never really have my mood change on testosterone at all, where something like RAD140, something like LGD3303, a more androgenic compound like trenbolone, right? These compounds are much stronger on the central nervous system, and something like trenbolone is interacting in the brain. So, like I said, do I think some steroids are addicting? I think Tren, you could literally make the actual legitimate argument that it is addicting. Something like testosterone, I don't think there's enough backed evidence that it's addicting, other than the fact that your central nervous system is like hyperstimulated if you're on a lot of testosterone, and that you would notice that coming off of it, that your central nervous system doesn't fire as fast than when you're on it. So that's my 2 cents on that. But something like trenbolone absolutely is addicting. It's a euphoric high. It's interacting in the brain. You're getting legitimately high on this drug. And that you can make the argument that people want that superiority complex. People choose to stay on that Tren for the ultra confidence because they can't generate ultra confidence just naturally or on HRT. They need that Tren in there. And, that addiction leads down a bad road because Tren is super kidney toxic. Tren destroys lipids. Tren destroys blood. It's like legitimately poison. So you got to keep that in mind. And that's just like when people are like, oh, you're addicted to steroids. I'm like, yeah, in this way, yeah. But like, I'd be cool with just chilling on HRT, right? I fucked up my HBTA. If I could recover my HBTA to over 600 test, cool. I would come off. I don't think I would I wouldn't obviously want to bodybuild to an extreme degree, but I don't think I would be fiending to get back on cycle if I was done with bodybuilding in my life, or if I was cruising on HRT. I wouldn't be fiending to blast testosterone and blast a bunch of androgens again. But then you can make the opposite case where something like trenbolone, you can get addicted to that euphoric feeling, that euphoric high, because it is binding with the brain. So if any of your friends are running trenbolone, I would highly recommend them to stop. And I would highly recommend to only use Tren 4 weeks out from a contest. That's the only time I see Tren being super necessary. Other than that, I think the look of Tren can be mimicked with other combinations of other compounds that have way less side effects, and that Tren is a bit overhyped. But you can make the argument that Tren sensitizes the androgen receptors to IGF-1 the best. Thus, when you see me utilizing Tren, I'm using IGF-LR3 with Tren, which makes my LR3 way more effective. That's kind of the rule of thumb with Tren on why it still plays such a critical role in super advanced, high level, bodybuilding, is because of that factor. But at the end of the day, for the average gym rat, running Tren is not a good idea, and it will do more harm than good. So hope you guys found this topic interesting. Comment your experiences down with Tren below, and tell me if you think that steroids are truly addicting, meaning you could scientifically prove it. You could scientifically prove it with studies that they're addicting, other than the central nervous system shit I stated. So I will see you guys in my next video.